All right, bros, broettes, we've got a little bit of the landscape shift in the world of college sports. This is the very popular time for teams to bolt on their conferences, try to get out, and for we have these wide-ranging conversations. We talked about this earlier. The NCAA's president, Charlie Baker, proposed the Autonomous Four being able to just create their own entity, separate from the NCAA.
Indeed.
Well, M. Hever 3 on Twitter, which it's really weird how some people become these anonymous newsbreakers. Like, who's the guy in the NBA that people think is a front office?
Oh no, it is.
He's a
dropping dimes.
Dropping dimes. He's a front office member.
Yes,
and he just leaks everything.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like, the thing about it is, what happens. You know this, but for the people out there, like, if you hear me say, like, here's what I'm hearing, or I'll strongly hint at something. These are the things that come, like, the front office people, like, where this comes from.
Yeah.
Because the amount of stuff that actually gets talked about behind the scenes is astronomical. What actually makes it to a transaction or actually happens is so minuscule.
So small.
So minuscule. So, like, you have to pick and choose, like, it's not like necessarily, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are those that carry water, but, like, when I say, hey, I've heard that the Lakers and the Blazers have talked about Jeremy Grant, was because it was being talked about for a couple weeks leading up to it, and it was like, okay, yeah, no, we're getting there. There's more traction to it, but teams call and talk all the time, and it's endless. And you get these people that are in positions of power, and Trilly Donovan's another one in college basketball.
Yeah, he's an assistant coach.
Yeah, and nobody knows exactly who he is yet. And even the people that I know that are the most plugged in scouts in college basketball are like, I'm 50% sure I know who this is. But he's done an incredible job of, like, dodging just enough to be like, it's not that person.
Well, this it's MHVER3.
Yes, and this person has had college football stuff nailed,
especially connections with the Big Ten, and then connections with television networks. Yes. And there's been this like floating theory that it is a television exec. It is,
which is what I would believe.
Yeah, and or a person that worked or works in the Big Ten in some capacity, because they've been on a lot of stuff,
and they're privy to stuff that doesn't get out.
They were one of the very first, the USC to the Big Ten, in that
2 weeks before everyone else.
They wanted to. It was Oregon and USC at first, and then they had to change course and go to UCLA and all that stuff. Well, they are saying ESPN has indicated to the ACC that the loss of 2 or more of Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Miami, or Duke will result in the option in 2027 not being picked up by the network. Obviously, we all know the 2 schools of note in there are Florida State and Clemson, who are suing the ACC as we speak to try and get out of the conference. That we talked about, there could potentially be a life raft for Oregon State and Washington State, in that if Florida State and Clemson get their way and they leave, then the ACC will be forced to expand in order to keep their seat at the table. You know what goes away is their seat at the table if ESPN says deuces. And then it turns into the wild, wild west, and North Carolina, say it's just Florida State and Clemson at first.
We know what that turns into. We've seen it.
Well, the rest of the conference will do exactly what Oregon State and Washington State are doing right now, right? Say they win their lawsuits by the end of this year, okay? So they enter 2026 a lame duck conference. In name, they'll keep it together because they can collect those checks from ESPN through 2026, but then 2027, ESPN goes, we're not picking up that option on the ACC. That's how you lose your seat at the table, because you then are broke boys.
It's very interesting that, 18 months ago, ESPN had all the leverage. They've got this contract that goes out until 2036.
Yeah.
they have all the leverage here. The ACC needs them, blah, 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 blah. And then it turns into, well, actually, if the two teams that actually matter leave, it dissolves the entire thing. It just shows you how much all of this stuff is just a house of cards.
I would, what will be interesting in that regard is if it is Florida State and Clemson, we have heard that for whatever reason, North Carolina and Virginia are very attractive to the Big Ten, more so than Florida State and Clemson are. They are coveted by the Big Ten far more than Clemson and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Do those two universities, along with Miami, Duke, and then I guess by proxy North Carolina State because they're attached with North Carolina, do they have enough weight to say and convince ESPN, no, pick up the 2027 option. We're still going to ride through this because we're not leaving, and the mega conferences aren't going to happen if we don't leave. Because that kind of is where this whole thing comes down to is they also need that fourth conference for the purposes of seeding because as currently stands in the college football playoff, it is conference champions get that auto bid and they're going to be roped into being a conference champion. Can they bargain their seat at the table? I don't think they can.
No, the interesting thing about this too, as far as the dissolution of the ACC, you're still talking about a preeminent basketball conference.
Yeah.
So,
well, the Big 12 will be ready to pounce.
And that's kind of where I'm wondering where this goes. And I don't think we're going to get a Notre Dame-esque pick and choose, pick your own adventure with what your sports you play. I think for football and basketball, you're either you're in or you're out. There's no we'll be in there for football.
There's no more hybrid.
No, that doesn't exist anymore.
It will force the hand of Notre Dame, which I'm
all about.
I'm so for.
Yeah, I'm sick of them.
You know what? Me too.
For very obvious reasons, but beyond that,
I have no.
They're
gripe.
not that important.
I have no gripe with Notre Dame other than what do you got? You guys
let me count
sniffing your own farts.
Yeah, that part.
The whole NBC thing. You're bigger and better than everybody else.
Your sign sucks.
Come play with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Your sign?
Play like a champion.
Oh, really?
Sucks.
Oh, I think that's tradition.
Lame.
No. Oh, fight on is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Play like a champion.
How about a horse? How about stabbing a sword?
They had 4 horsemen.
How about stabbing a sword into the ground?
They had the 4 horsemen. They've got
a leprechaun.
A little ginger out there.
Yeah, but it's a fighting leprechaun.
How about Touchdown Jesus?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they got Touchdown Jesus.
I'll give them that one.
They got Touchdown Jesus.
That's pretty good.
And their helmets are sweet.
They use actual gold.
Yeah, the gold flaking in them. Yeah.
What has more gold in it? A Notre Dame helmet or a bottle of Goldschlager?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Goldschlager.
I think I am too.
I'm going to go with Goldschlager.
I bet you.
And I don't feel comfortable with that.
I bet you can find out.
Somebody's done the research on this. Somebody's had to have done the research on. Is there more gold in the Notre Dame helmet or in a bottle of Goldschlager? Well, I don't even know if that is the case now that they dip the helmets. They do like the hydro dip of the helmets, the hydrochrome.
They don't have the actual gold on there anymore?
I don't know. The price of gold's gone up, Maybe it priced out Notre Dame's helmets in that regard. I have no idea.
Well, I know now because on that commercial we always hear during Colin, they're not giving away gold anymore. They're giving away silver Trump bars.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, here's something crazy.
Okay.
Speaking of the golden dome of the main building on campus, there are 1,250 strips made out of 8 ounces of 23 karat gold that cover that.
Really?
So 1,250 times 8 ounces. That's quite a few gold bars.
Man,
how many pounds?
I'm just wondering, catalytic converters are going out of cars. What's going on? I can't believe we don't have a bunch of tweakers scaling the Golden Dome trying to remove all of this.
We'll do some quick math here.
So how much is that Golden Dome worth?
Okay, so that would be if you're taking 8 ounces, 16 ounces in a pound, or 16 ounces in a pound, that'd be 625 pounds. And then divide that by 27. you're talking about essentially 23 gold bars.
23 gold bars.
Gold bars. Each gold bar weighs roughly 27 pounds, if I remember right.
That's some like national treasure type stuff right there.
That's a couple suitcases full, like
Fort Knox is hiding the gold.
I mean, think about that. That's 600 pounds of gold. Like that's
27.4 pounds for a standard gold bar.
Yeah, so pretty close.
Or 400 troy ounces.
Yeah.
What's a troy ounce?
I don't know. Apparently, but you get 400 of them, and that's 27.4 pounds.
It always comes back to the Trojans.
No, it doesn't.
Troy.
No, it doesn't. I heard you guys talking about old Paul Feinbaum wanting Lincoln Riley fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't have got fired last year. He should not have gotten fired. No. Now this year.
Yeah, look, if they have less than 8 wins this year.
Well, Lincoln Riley.
Just so we're clear right now, an ounce of gold is currently worth $2,369.
See? Dude. You could just take a chunk off of that Golden Dome and throw a kegger at Notre Dame. What are these students doing?
That Golden Dome is worth literal millions.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
It's kind of crazy.
Pretty heavy, too.
I'll keep trying to research the gold flake and gold slugger versus helmet. Those are the answers that we need.
That's what the people want. It's what the plants crave. All right. Well, boy, that went in a way I didn't think it was going to go. Long story short, we're going to wrap this thing up.
Too late.
The ESPN is going to back out of the ACC's deal in 2027 if, and this is a big if the Clemson, Florida State lawsuits are successful. And then that's not good news for the Beavs and the Cougs or Cal and Stanford. Think of Cal and Stanford right now. How about SMU, which said, we'll take no money to join your conference because we want to be relevant. And it's like, nope, not relevant again.
Yeesh. So much for your lifeboat.
That's SMU. That was brutal, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
you've been trying to claw your way back from the death penalty for 40 years now. And you're like, we finally did it. Nope.
But they do have like God level donors, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, boy, they really will be okay.